The Satoshi alien will help you understand technology.
Here at Out of This World Podcast, we are not financial advisors and we cannot give financial advice. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Thank you and enjoy the show.
Investments and make money, so come listen to the aliens guidance. Listen to the.
You heard about Jeff Bezos, right? Like, that's pretty nuts.
Yeah, that was wild, man. I can't believe he's leaving. And, like, you know, my mind automatically goes to he's leaving because he wants to take over the world. And
Yes, me too.
he wants to just, like, rival Bill Gates, and they're just secretly behind the scenes doing some wacky stuff, you know?
Right.
I
Like,
don't really believe that, but I hope that's kind of true.
I picture, you ever watched Futurama?
Yes.
I picture, like, there's, like, an episode where Richard Nixon, he's just a head in a jar. But he,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
he runs for president of, like, the world, and he gets his, like, the gigantic robotic body. And on top of it, I can see Jeff Bezos getting, like, this really big, like, android body, being the supreme ruler of the world, you know, just taking things over.
Well, did you see the video of him with the Dr. Octopus?
Yes. That was creepy. But
That was amazing. He probably, like, watches that all the time. He's like, yep,
right.
I'm going to take over the world.
Who knows what, like, he's got going on tech-wise. The man runs one of the best companies ever, you know, and they have such a great R&D budget that we're probably not even privy to most of it.
So
you know?
you're saying he has a bat cave?
Probably. Wouldn't you? Like, you're worth like $80 billion, whatever he's worth. Like, I would have multiple bat caves.
I don't even know what I would do, man. Like, to be honest with you, if I had that kind of money, it would just be like, it would probably sit there, a lot of it, because I really wouldn't even know. I feel like all of these things just add complications to your life.
Yeah. No, I would have to do some kind of charity work, because, like, how do you rationalize just having all the money? Like, you can't do anything with it. It's
Yeah,
not even, like,
exactly. Like, after, I mean, you probably buy some toys, you buy, like, some stuff, and then you realize you feel empty. I mean, then I wonder how it feels, though, to be like Bill Gates and give 1 million people, like, a malaria vaccine and, like, save those lives. And then you're just walking around like, yeah, you know, I just saved 20 million people's lives. Like, how does that feel? That has to feel better than having a Lamborghini.
Oh, by far. I think the only thing that might be better than that is, like, Nicolas Cage buying a $5 million dinosaur skull, you know?
Did he really do that?
Yeah.
What kind of dinosaur?
It's a good question. If I had to guess, maybe like a Tyrannosaurus Rex or something. I hope he wasn't getting like a Brontosaurus. It's gonna be something like really like tough.
It's better. It's better if it's like one of those weird ones.
Yeah, dude. A couple of years ago, the Museum of Natural History had a dinosaur exhibit for like the biggest dinosaur ever found. They just like uncovered it at the time. It's called a Titanosaur, and this thing was literally like the
Very
size.
original, guys.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into stocks in a little bit. But this thing was so huge, dude, that it took up literally 3 museum rooms, and the tail came out into the hallway. It was insane. It was so cool.
They probably set it up like that on purpose, too, for like effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. It's crazy, man.
I gotta go back, man. I miss the Natural History Museum. I can't go back.
Yeah,
Just fucking give me things, bro. Like, it's this. How you doing with the snow? You shovel your car out?
No, why would I? I mean, it's a pandemic. I can't leave my house anyway. I'm gonna waste time shoveling the snow.
I just shoveled out today.
I'm not.
I'm going to the gym tomorrow. I'm going to the gym tomorrow. I'm canceling my membership.
Good move, bro.
I'm going to sign up for the gym over here on Metro Mall.
I'm telling you, dude, get the Peloton app and do the body weight classes.
You have a Peloton?
Dude, I don't have a Peloton. I'm cheap. I bought the Bowflex bike for like 50% less. And then I got the Peloton app on top of it, right? For like $13 a month. But the Peloton app isn't just for cycling. They have these amazing bodyweight classes that beat the crap out of you. You know, like, you actually should check it out before you get a gym membership. You might be interested.
I love the gym, bro. I have to go to the gym. I like lifting weights.
Yeah, it's hard.
I have enough weights that I can have like all different kinds of. I need a squat rack. I need a bench press. I need, you know, a lot of dumbbells with different weights and stuff like that. You know, I have stuff I need to do. You know, I can't just do whatever. Some app or something. You know.
So basically, you need Bitcoin to hit 100K so you can buy a whole gym for yourself. Basically,
Be
a little higher.
Yeah.
We're actually gonna get a pool here in the summer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we
Ground
found
or above ground?
semi in-ground, because a full in-ground is like literally like an entire year's salary for like both of us to do it the right way.
Mm,
It would be way too expensive. And an above ground, I just think looks like kind of tacky. So
yeah.
the semi, when you put some brick on it, it actually looks really nice. So we're gonna go with that.
Awesome.
Some bricks around it, pavers. It's gonna make a little hotel resort back there. Can't wait.
Yeah, you gotta get a nice grill now, well, unless you have one.
No, so I obviously live next door to my parents because that's what you do when you're Italian. My mother's, because I'm getting a pool. She's gotta get some too because that's what you do when you're Italian.
Yeah.
So she's getting like an outdoor kitchen built and everything. So it's gonna be really, really
wow.
cool. Yeah, it's gonna be nice.
Very nice, man. I'm looking forward to barbecues when
Yeah,
the world opens up again.
dude, get your vaccine and come on over, man.
Sounds good, man.
Did you see the newest short piece this week, Clover Health?
I heard about it. Yeah, I
man.
did not. I haven't looked into it too much. I was not to play, right?
Yeah, Shamath, man. The guy's too busy taking mirror selfies at the gym to address the situation.
What's the story behind that? Because all I saw was like a bunch of dudes just like posing shirtless randomly on Twitter. And they were all just saying it was. I'm gonna say this is like, and then they would just randomly name an Indian dude.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I don't know the exact story. I heard that he posted that shirtless selfie in response to like a troll.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool and all. If I was a billionaire, though, I wouldn't even be on Twitter, number one. But whatever, like that's his market, right?
Well, you know what? Yeah, Twitter's kind of fun. Like I can see why they get on it, and plus, like everybody idolizes these people.
It's true.
You
No,
definitely got to get like some sort of kick out of it if you're them.
and Shamath has a lot of power on Twitter too. Like he names a pipe or a SPAC that he brought to the market. That thing goes parabolic off his name alone, right?
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, like I do like his attitude towards like the establishment, right? Like why are we still bailing out the airlines? Why don't we let them fail? I believe in that completely.
Yeah.
But I feel like he's a bit of a promoter nowadays too, where he's just kind of trying to make money, and I get it, you know.
Well, yeah. I mean, he has like some ambitious plans, like when he talks about it.
So did you get a chance to read the Kerrisdale report on Clover Health?
No, because I'm not a shareholder, so I wasn't really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I read it. I read a little bit of it because I was curious. And business are like part aside, right?
You bought Clover, right?
No, I was thinking about it when it first came to market, and I avoided it because I really didn't like the investor's presentation, right? There's like this one slide where all you see is the word growth written 3 times. It's like growth, growth, growth. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, how is this any different from Entertainment 720 with John Raphael and Tom Haverford, right? It just gave me this really unprofessional vibe. So I was like, screw this, I'll pass.
Were you just looking at the slides by themselves, or did you watch like the entire presentation?
No,
that might be a little different depending on how you've seen it.
Yeah, no, just a slideshow. So,
maybe there was context from the speakers talking, and it's like in the background.
It's a possibility, right? Like given the benefit of the doubt, but I avoided it. But the one thing I thought was very interesting from this short report was that Clover gave Shamath like a ton of shares for like $25,000 at like a 0.0001 like average.
What?
Right. Just to bring it public, and it turned into like a $250 million deal for Shamath. Right. So like, I get it, dude. You got to make money. That's your job, and you can do the pipe and all that. But that kind of rubs me the wrong way.
What kind of return is that?
And that's just at $10 to bring it public, right? That wasn't when Clover hit like $17. That's all-time high.
From 25,000 to 25 million, what is that? Like
250 million, not even 25 million, dude.
Oh,
yeah. It's like 100,000%. I don't know.
Anyway, that's wild. He's a wild dude. He's an interesting guy, man. He said Bitcoin, what did he say? If Bitcoin hits $100,000, he's going to buy the Hamptons and turn it into like an orphanage or something like that.
Something like that.
What he said, yeah.
Dude, and I have so much respect for him in the sense that he is very good at finding great companies or great products for great assets.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. They didn't, he didn't form this cult of personality around him without being good. First you got to be good. And then, this whole thing forms around you. And if it happens without you being good, then the whole thing comes apart, usually.
Right. I mean, the guy invested in Bitcoin in like, I think 2011 or 2013. I don't remember the timeline. And then he invested in Tesla right around that same timeline as well. So he had two life-changing home runs to his name right off the bat. Like, yeah, there's a reason why this guy has so much pull and so much popularity in the community, you know?
And you know what? We're probably just seeing the start of this. Like, if he really runs for governor of California, yeah, I'm not like familiar with California politics at all, but seems like he might have a shot.
So, from what I've seen of him talk about policy-wise, I like what he's saying. He wants to raise teachers' salaries. He wants to cut the income tax to like 0%. He's got some really nice progressive ideals, right? Because
Mhm.
like, you know, free money for teachers, sign me up. No taxes, yeah. But I don't know exactly like how
I
he
don't understand how that works
right,
necessarily.
right. Because like I cut income taxes. How am I making up that money? Otherwise, the state GDP is completely shot. You know, so I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. That's I gotta dig more into him and see what the deal is with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy.
I mean, there's a lot of interesting people that are like coming in and coming out of the limelight. I mean, you want to get into Amazon and their earnings, or what do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
So I think one thing that people always look at with Amazon is this great company that sells you anything you want within the day, right? I'll
Mhm.
order today, I'll get it tomorrow, anything I want. And that's pretty awesome. But the one thing that Amazon has really become notorious for, aside from that, is AWS, right? And they had a
Yes.
monster quarter, you know,
Mhm.
and their AWS revenue for like was like $50 billion for like the year. Like it was nuts, like really crazy numbers, right? But I think the one thing people are actually that are so so I think the one thing people are missing is the fact that although Amazon is this great e-commerce store and this great cloud provider, digital advertisements on Amazon have become a super lucrative business for them.
Really?
Yeah. And I didn't know this either until I saw a couple of threads on Twitter by Daniel Pogrebsky, right? I mean, that guy's a killer. He's got some great information all the
Oh
time.
yeah, that guy's great.
Yeah. So I was looking up on it. And just last year alone, Amazon did $21.5 billion in advertising revenue,
Whoa.
up 52% year over year. That's
Well,
insane.
they got Prime Video. Yeah,
Yeah.
forgot about that.
Prime Video. And then the other thing that we overlook all the time, you go on Amazon and you search up like, you know, seltzer, right? Club soda. I'm drinking some LaCroix club soda now. And you'll see like the suggested product or like the best seller. That's an ad. Someone pays to be listed first all the time.
That makes sense.
So they're getting a lot of money from that. And it's insane. And it really brought me down this rabbit hole, right? Because we've had a lot of advertising companies report in the past week and a half, 2 weeks. Amazon, Pinterest, Facebook, etc. And we'll get into all of them. But I think the one thing that people are overlooking is how beneficial this increase in digital advertising spending could be for Etsy. Okay. So Etsy has some really great numbers for the past year, right? The mask sales were killer. People are coming in there buying home and houseware items nonstop. They're growing 130% every quarter so far, right?
Whoa.
And it's been amazing. But if you look at their estimates for this year and next year, their estimates are really, you know, pedestrian, right?
Really?
Yeah. So the analysts are forecasting, like, let's see, I have it written down. I believe it's like 13% and 21% revenue growth over the next 2 years individually, which is a huge deceleration because they just posted last year like 85% growth, right?
Yeah, why is that?
So that's the thing. I was kind of trying to figure out like why is that the case, and I'm assuming it's related to people not fully understanding Etsy's business model, right? Where they think it's, oh, they only make masks, and oh, it's only people like us with a Cricut who are, you know, manufacturing a T-shirt with the name on it or like putting something out, right? But the one thing that I think Etsy can really benefit from and has shown really good percentage growth in their advertising and services revenue, right? So services revenue last year was up, last quarter, I should say, 95% year over year last quarter, right?
Oh wow.
And that was 24% of their total revenue, right? Advertising revenue was up 106% year over year. those are some really good numbers, right? That are going to be growing down the line. If that's like 24% of their sales, if they can get that number up to 35 or 40%, you're now looking at a mini Amazon in progress without people realizing it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that Etsy, and I have no position because I'm an idiot, right? Because I saw the estimates and I saw some people on Twitter saying, "Oh, low estimates, Etsy's done, the run's over." I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe you're right. And I sold my Etsy position, and I put the money into like,
How many times do they lowball it on purpose?
right. How many times do analysts get things wrong too? Because they just have their head
Oh
up.
yeah, dude. Did you see Citi just double down on MicroStrategy with a sell rating? What are you smoking, man? Just say you lost. Just say Bitcoin won. If you don't say it now, you're gonna say it in 2 years.
And that's the thing. Like they're obviously benefiting from Bitcoin on their own end too, because they're definitely embracing it. Didn't Citibank say that Bitcoin had like a $500,000 price target at some point too?
I don't know if it was Citi or Goldman. Oh, maybe it was Citi.
It was
Wouldn't even be surprised that they would give Bitcoin a $500,000 price target and then say MicroStrategy's gonna go bankrupt. Like,
right.
wouldn't be surprised at all.
Right, because if you look at the Citron report, MicroStrategy, even if Bitcoin goes to zero, still maintains their value when he issued the report around $200 a share or whatever it was.
Whoa,
So, right,
that's from Andrew Leff.
yeah, he and he's an interesting guy with his long takes, right? But these analysts, they don't know what they're doing all the time, you
Of
know?
course, they're people,
Right,
and some of them have bad intentions. Some of them, people who are in a bad way or something like that, are selfish people, and they say things that'll benefit them or their friends directly. I mean, that's just what people do. People have been doing it forever.
and that's one of the games on the street, right? It's to downgrade your company because I don't own enough shares of it and it's gone on a big run. So I can get a cheaper price to buy more. That's like the oldest game
Exactly.
that Goldman Sachs plays, right?
Exactly.
So the estimates here, I think, are really bad. I think they're really just underwhelming. And this is a company that has a really strong EBITDA and a really strong free cash flow
Who's giving
growth.
these estimates? Just analysts?
So I use CMLViz and I use Koifin.
Mm.
Right? I'm a big CML pro guy. I really respect Ophir Gottlieb, so like I'll use his product as a quick step in there, and then from there I'll dive deeper with like the investors relation pages and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
But their free cash flow growth and their EBITDA growth, if it hits over $200 million, which would be higher than last quarter, I think you're going to see the stock really go on a big run. And I think you can see it trade between 250 and 300 this year, no problem. I mean, today it broke out to like 230, 233 at one point. So we're not far off from those numbers either, you know?
What are they doing exactly? Like, so you could sell things you create, right? You could sell things that you already own. What else are people doing? And like, what else? What's the case for growth?
Yeah. So obviously there's a lot of sales in housewares and how hardware stuff, right? So maybe you make like mugs, I guess that would qualify, or maybe you're making, paintings and things like that. And it's a great place for you to sell crafty stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they also, Zach, will, if you have a page and you want to get more hits and have a better listing, you can pay the advertising money to be featured on page one or the top side. So they're benefiting from people who want to be exposed the most, right? It's kind of like pay to play kind of situation. And I think that is going to be a major driver that people are not factoring in. I think the analysts were looking strictly at sales pre-COVID and assuming that nothing changed, that we would revert back to the pre-COVID level and we wouldn't see any of that advertising growth.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense at all. It seems like, COVID just really accelerating everything that was already happening, right? I think that's really the takeaway. Like, any trend that was happening before COVID has now tripled or quadrupled, and you can see that in Bitcoin.
Yes, right? It's the digital transformation. It's like a 6-year pull forward, right? That's what they all say.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I
just
think
for hibernating.
Right. So I think there's an opportunity here with Etsy. Now, I have no position. Unfortunately, I'm tight on capital because I used my last piece of cash today to buy more Pinterest. And we'll get into why in a minute. But I do like Etsy's future here moving forward. I think it's actually very underrated for what it could be, even though it's had a monster run thus far.
What's the run been like? Because I haven't really been following it.
So, I think off the top of my head, at its like lows last year, you were looking at between like a $15 to $35 stock around its lows before COVID or with COVID, and then it basically ran throughout all of last year to around 150, 160 was its high.
Oh, wow.
So it has had a monster run, right?
Yeah, that is a monster run.
I first bought my first position in the hundreds, like the 105 area, but one of our friends actually was a buyer around 75, 80, right? So it's been a big winner. It's not cheap in terms of, price anchoring, right? I think it trades at a decent multiple. If you want, give me a second, I'll take a look, right?
Sure.
So we're looking at Etsy moving forward. We're not going to look at a PE ratio because we're not old white men, right? Like PE ratios don't mean anything anymore. It's a $29 billion market cap, trading 15 times or 16 times next year's sales. That's pretty cheap for a company that grew 85% last year.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah. And it's got a 17% net income margin. They're generating positive cash flow. Their numbers are really solid. You got an operating margin of 21%, a return on equity of 44%.
Wow.
This is a company that looks really solid on paper.
And you think it benefits from a network effect of like if you're on it and you're buying stuff from it, you're more likely to keep buying stuff from it and recommending others, and then they come in, and then you think this is something that plays out, or do you think hits a brick wall at some point?
No, I think it's something that has only gotten stronger and more ferocious, right? I know personally, we first started using Etsy, my wife and I, when we were doing like party planning stuff, right? Like her sister was getting married. So we had to get invitations for her sister's bridal shower. And then we were getting married. So we had to get invitations and things like that and decorations. And that really kind of drew us in as customers. And now anytime I have to buy a gift for somebody, birthday, holiday, anniversary, I go to Etsy first. I don't even go to Amazon first. I go straight to Etsy and I see what's available. And I'm a guy, right? Men are different in terms of how we spend money on the internet. Women, on the other hand, they love Etsy. Like that's
I know.
That's their big home, right? So I think you do see a network.
And Pinterest too.
Yes, and that's where we're going to go next, right? I think you do see that network effect in full play, full force, definitely.
That makes sense, yeah. I think it's so discounted too, and that's the thing. That's what kept people from valuing Bitcoin high. It's what kept people from missing out on Facebook. It's kept people from missing out on Ethereum now. I mean, you discount the network effect.
Yep.
And, everything is off because it's so powerful.
Yeah. And now I think we're going to talk about the most powerful network in the history of humanity. And that's the network of women, right? So
that's a great segue to Pinterest.
Yeah. And if you go on like Wall Street Bets, like pre-GameStop stuff, they had what was called the Becky portfolio, where they would pick out stocks of companies that white women absolutely loved, right?
That's hilarious.
Say what you want about that thematic. Who cares? And I'm gonna name the stocks that they came up with, okay? And I think we'll see if the network effect is real. Starbucks.
Yes.
Ulta.
Yeah.
Lululemon.
Yes.
Peloton.
Yeah.
Chewy.
Yeah.
Etsy.
Yes.
And my favorite stock of all time, Pinterest.
Yep.
So clearly there's something going on here because each of those companies has had monster sales throughout their existence because of their number one customer, who is predominantly a woman, right?
Yes.
So that brings me to Pinterest. And this is a stock I bought this time last year, actually, late January. It was around $22. And what brought me to it is really ironic, right? I had a Thinkorswim account that I would never put money in because they would let you open up an account for free and I would use the software, right? Because it's one of the best charting softwares ever. Then Schwab bought Thinkorswim, and all of a sudden Schwab wanted me to like put money in to keep the account open. So I threw like $20 in because, all right, I wasn't going to use it, but let me just keep the account open. It's valuable to me. And then I was sitting there and saying, listen, if I'm going to have money in this account, I may as well put it in something. So I looked and I kind of tried to figure out which stock I could put it in that would make sense. And as I'm doing this, my wife has been on Pinterest the entire time, looking up recipes and things like that. So I look at her and I'm like, can I see what you're doing? And I pull up her phone and I'm just scrolling through the Pinterest boards, right? Like I think she typed in like some kind of healthy dinners option, right? And as you're scrolling, you'll see like, oh, make this dish, make that dish. And then you'll see an ad that was very subtle. And it actually looked like someone who posted one of their blogs. And I thought that was really creative.
Yeah. But when I got on Pinterest, because I was recommended from multiple people actually, they were like, "Oh, I love Pinterest. I love to pin this. I love to pin that." And then I got the app and stuff, and like I don't know, I played with it for like a couple seconds, and like I did not buy into it personally.
Yeah.
I bought into Twitter. I buy into a lot of different things, but for some reason, Pinterest and me just did not click. Did you feel the same way when you were working with it?
So, I think what kept me using Pinterest was two things. Number one, I love to cook, and I'll look at random recipes, and I can't figure out what I want to eat for dinner that week. Number two, and I think this is the main factor that pulls men in potentially, we were doing renovations on our home. So you go on Pinterest because you're like landscaping ideas, living room ideas, you know? And then you start seeing all these ideas.
I'm about to go on Pinterest.
Right. And that's really helpful because Pinterest is by far the best visual search engine available. Yes. I think it's much better than Google, right? And it's so much better.
It's incomparable though, because you have Google image search where you're just kind of looking for pictures, but Pinterest is kind of like a picture, but it has a link that directly corresponds to that. It's not like out of context. It's not like anything like that. It's exactly what you're looking for, essentially.
Yeah. And they've done some great innovations, right? They are now incorporating video ads, which is very helpful. And they also incorporated a couple of quarters ago the ability to shop straight from Pinterest.
Oh, wow.
So in the past, I would like see something like, oh, I would like to buy that, but I couldn't. Now I could just click the shop tab, open up whatever I'm looking at, and make that purchase right off the bat.
And that's through Shopify?
And they're integrated with Shopify, exactly.
Nice.
And we could talk about how Shopify uses certain payment rails later on that are crypto-friendly too. But that's where I saw the ball start rolling. And I took a position strictly off the Becky idea, and then I did more research. And as I kept reading about it, I just fell more and more in love with the stock, right? And COVID hits, and Pinterest comes down to $10. And I never once, this is my first time I dealt with a bear market in stocks, right? I dealt with the Bitcoin one, and I just stayed the hell away when we bombed out. But this one, I was like, I don't care. Pinterest is a good company. Like, I'll buy more. I have a small position, I'll make it bigger. And I just kept buying throughout the whole pandemic, you know? And it's become my ATM where I was trading around a core literally for the past year.
Nice.
And then this earnings report hit, and now I will no longer trade around a core ever again because I see this as at minimum $100 billion market cap.
Whoa.
And we're literally at, I think, 42 billion right now. I can give you the exact numbers. With the big pump from earnings, we're at $50 billion. Wow. So I'm looking at a double from here. That's my perspective in the next couple of years. And I will not sell a single share until that point.
Yeah. I mean,
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to establish a position, to be honest with you, because that's it's a good bull case.
Yeah, and here's my fundamental thesis on it, okay? They just posted a quarter. Last quarter, they had 74% revenue growth. This quarter, and that was an acceleration, a big one. This quarter, they posted in the 70s as well. And then instead of decelerating on the reopening, because Pinterest is just a COVID play, they guided for another 70% increase in the quarter.
Whoa.
That's really impressive, right? There's someone who I follow on Twitter. His name is Simo Doe, right? Really great Twitter follow. If I can ever shout anybody out, he posts some awesome analyst news, really good news reports and numbers, right? And he's been constantly saying that Pinterest right now is where Facebook was in 2014. and I wasn't buying Facebook at that time. So I'll be honest with you, I missed that boat. But I see what he's talking about with 3 straight quarters of 70% growth. I think that's a great start to a big time future.
Yeah, and we look at things like how much was Facebook trading at in 2014, right? What was it, like $40 a share or something like that?
Yeah, probably, right? Because it IPO at like 35, 37 actually, and then it came down to like $17 at one point.
Oh wow, I forgot about that. I don't.
Yeah.
I just remember like 40 for a while.
Yeah, well, my biggest gaffes when I was a kid and didn't understand what I was doing was I saw Facebook at $17 a share coming across the ticker on CNBC. I was a kid. I was still watching CNBC at the time. And I'm like, oh, $17 a share. That's cheap. And then I went to go take a shower and I never looked at it ever again.
I like how you remember that though.
Yeah, because the reality is, dude, if I would have put 10 grand in there, I'd be worth so much more money, you know?
Yeah.
Well, but
hindsight is 2020.
Right, exactly. And that's all you can do. All you can do is have the perspective to see the next time you have that opportunity and hit it as hard as you can.
Exactly. The thing I remember being like, when I first didn't know what I was doing, when I first started looking at investing, I would see a company like Facebook at $40 and I'd be like, well, Facebook is already a thing. So obviously I missed that. I might as well start looking for the next thing that's going to be huge because I want to be in on the next Facebook. I don't want to be in on this Facebook. This Facebook already happened. Everybody already made their money. Like, this is just gonna idle now and do nothing. Like, that's you get in a weird sort of mindset. And then you look at it, we went from $40 to what are we at now? 260, 250 or something like that?
168 at one point today, yeah.
6 years. In 6 years. So
And,
I mean, it wasn't a bad hold. It wasn't a bad buy.
No, and we price anchor, right? We say, well, Facebook's at 40, but I just saw it at 17 a month ago. Like, I can't buy it now. Meanwhile, the reality is, if we saw Facebook at 17, we liked it. Facebook at 40 is confirmation that we were correct to buy it at 17. Yes. And we should buy it at 40 because we had the right idea. The market confirmed our thesis for us.
Exactly. It's that, yeah. You know, it's like sometimes we look at it like we take things personal, like, oh, like my conviction is wrong. Now I'm wrong and it's me. It's not you. It's just the market is just always right.
Yes.
It's nothing to do with you. Sometimes you know what the market's going to do and that's great. Sometimes you don't, and you can't take that personally. It just happens. You know, it's one of the best things I ever heard about the stock market when I was working at a brokerage firm. And, you know, I wasn't working at Goldman Sachs, right? I was working
You're in a boiler. It was a boiler, to be honest. It was a boiler.
I wasn't a boiler room, but, you know, but the owner and me were talking one day, and he goes, you know what? Stocks, man, it's like football. He's like, sometimes you get everything right, but at the end, you know, it's the wind, luck, you don't know. And I always kind of like, you know, it sounds like stupid advice, but
it's true.
At the end of the day, it's kind of true, man. Like, everything could line up, and, you know, for some weird reason, it doesn't work out. Or, you know, the inverse of that, where, like, it could look completely like a train wreck, and it doesn't stop going up.
Yeah. And that's literally it, right? So my big thing has become, if I see a stock I liked at one price and it's higher on fundamental reasons, not on a short squeeze or a pump or anything like that, on fundamental reasons, the market just confirmed my thesis, I need to jump in there.
Yes.
And I bought more Pinterest today again. And I've been buying it from 20 to 10 to 30 to 50 to 60 to now 80, right? Because I see such a great opportunity, right? We're now opening up the doors to Pinterest being a cash generating machine. They posted a 42% EBITDA margin. That's insane for a social media company of its size, right? They guided for 70% revenue growth. That's fantastic. There's something called in tech and software a rule of 40. And the rule of 40, you basically take the revenue growth and you add it to the EBITDA, right? So that brings you to a rule of 40 that is 118. Dude, you're looking at something, and anything over 40 is good. This is something that's way beyond that. It not only doubled it, it nearly tripled that number, right? It's in its early growth stage because it's only now monetizing Latin America and the rest of the world. All right. Its international revenue growth is up 145%.
Jeez.
right?
That's exactly what you want to see too.
Yeah, the average revenue per user in America is only $5.94. Okay, when you compare that to like Twitter and Facebook, you see a long runway still. But when you look at the international RPU, it's 35 cents.
Mhm.
In America, the average revenue per user is $5.94. In the rest of the world, it's 35 cents. Think about how far you can go still. The stock is $80. If they get that
Easily.
RPU to $1, think about where Pinterest is going to be trading at, right? It's trading at essentially 20 times sales. It's got a $50 billion market cap. It's very easily could double. It has $900 million in revenue. It's cash flow positive. Its earnings are positive, right? And here's the main reason why I think Pinterest can double from here. And it's because of Snapchat. If you look at Snapchat, they had a good quarter. And I like Snapchat a lot for what they are. They're a great source of entertainment for millennials and Gen Z, right? 13 to 24, they dominate that market.
I could definitely see that because I have Snapchat and I have it basically because I'm friends with like a few people and that's pretty much the only way I can stay in contact with those people is through Snapchat, right? But sometimes I will hit like the stories to see people's stories and there's all this kind of like promoted, all this content.
We live in New York City. You're going to hear it.
Yeah, there's tell me if this sounds better by the way. Hello?
I think it sounds, no, it sounds worse.
Sounds worse.
Try now. I like this better.
Okay. So, yeah, so I'm a member of Snapchat. I keep in touch with certain people that I don't really keep in touch with, like international and whatever, that I don't really keep in touch with just by regular SMS. And we just talk through Snapchat. And so I'll be on it every so often. And when I go to the like featured videos and stuff like that, it's very weird. It's a very different feed than what I see on like my Google feed or what I see on Twitter. It's completely not really aimed at me at all. Like I really can't relate to half the stuff. I have no idea who they're talking about. No idea who the celebrities are. Makes me feel super old. I'm not old at all.
Right. And here's the interesting thing, right? Snapchat has a $94 billion market cap. Okay. It's growing pretty decently. I don't think Snapchat's a dinosaur by any means, right? The estimates are 45% growth for the year, 36% next year. Good numbers. But it's trading at 26 times next year's sales.
Whoa.
Okay. It just posted a good quarter where they had $900 million in revenue,
Nice.
but negative $100 million in profit.
Ooh.
Okay. They're trending towards cash flow positive, but they're not free cash flow positive yet. So they're still losing money. And Pinterest, on the other hand, $50 billion market cap, 20 times sales, made $200 million in profit on $700 million in revenue. To me, there's an arbitrage situation here that the market has wrong. And Pinterest should be trading at the same market cap as Snapchat, 100%.
Yeah, I think you might be right with that, man. Especially with TikTok.
Yes.
Like, is that something else I noticed where it's like it seems like that feed? They even have like a button where it shows you videos, and I got sucked into it one day. But it seems like they're trying to mimic TikTok, right? And why are you trying to mimic instead of innovate? That's kind of like a warning sign, if anything, right? And then I didn't even really look into Pinterest, but after you said that, I think I might sell my Snapchat and look into getting into Pinterest. To be honest with you, because $100 billion market cap for Snapchat doesn't sit right with me.
Right. And I like Snapchat a lot as an AR play. I think it can become a metaverse play.
That's why I had it.
And I really like what they do with the AR ads. I think it's really cool because, and I did a thread about this on our Twitter today. When you watch a TV show or you just flip through your Facebook or Instagram feed and you see an ad, you don't pay attention to it really. You kind of look at it and like, cool, and you move on. You keep flipping, right? You keep scrolling. With Snapchat's AR ads, you become the advertisement. right?
Mm.
That filter for promoting, maybe
Coors Light.
whatever, I don't know. Uh, that's you becoming an influencer and a sponsor because you're going to take that picture, advertising that product, and you're going to send it to your friends or put it on your story. And that is going to generate a much better return on the advertisement than a traditional ad does. And I think that's really valuable, right? If you look at their investor presentation on this most recent earnings report,
But you got to think about that too. Like, are they going to have a monopoly on that kind of tech, or is that sort of AR tech going to be like ubiquitous throughout, our applications and all the platforms that we're using? Because if it's ubiquitous, then it's not a huge advantage, I would imagine.
and I think you bring up a good point because they pretty much have that partnership with Unity that drives this all possible, right?
Mm.
Unity just had a quarter that was solid, but not good enough for their market cap. There's a good potential that Unity is going to try and pitch this to Facebook, Instagram, uh, TikTok, etc. And you know what? You're right. Snapchat could live their first mover advantage on that. That's a very good point.
Well, yeah, that and just like what I was saying before, like as a customer, as a user of Snapchat, when I go on and I go to that feed and it's like, it's funny and stuff like that, but it's not something that appeals to me. Like I rarely am on the platform now. It's literally just to talk to and like, otherwise I would never be on Snapchat. It's just not very conducive. It's not needed really. Doesn't appeal. It's not for us. Doesn't appeal to me.
And that's a good point too, right? One of the bear thesis is exactly that people age out. If you look at the numbers, like 13 to 24, they have like 90% of the population using the app or whatever in that age group. But when you go and expand that to 13 to 34, the numbers come down by like 20, 25%.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. And I know personally, I deleted all social media except for Twitter. And I used to use Snapchat a lot. They lost me when I turned 30, mostly because I didn't need social media anymore. I didn't really care about the people who I didn't talk to. I care about the people
So you
I was
get married and stuff.
right. And like, everyone that I would want to scroll and look at, I already talked to, right? Like I'm going to text you instead of going on your Instagram page because like you're my friend.
Yeah.
And I think that there is that possibility that you see some people age out of some of these social mediums, but they won't age out of Pinterest because as you get older, you get more involved with what you need to look for, right?
Exactly. And the big appeal of Snapchat too was like that whole thing the message disappearing. But now we have that with Signal.
Yeah.
We have all these encrypted chats and things like that because people want privacy. We're only probably going to get hopefully more going forward after, we kind of got taken for all our privacy for a little bit.
And ironically, when you look at Facebook Messenger, they give you the option now to turn on a feature to have your messages automatically disappear.
Oh, that's nice.
So Facebook
they basically they disappear for you and the person you're talking to, but it stays on Mark Zuckerberg's phone forever, right?
Come on now, they gotta make money somehow, man. But when you see Facebook, they have constantly taken every innovation that Snapchat has made and implemented it on their back end, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instagram stories, Instagram reels too. All these things that Snapchat has created has flown back to Facebook. And Facebook's an interesting stock. It's not going to be the, 10 bagger it once was. It's a $750 billion market cap roughly.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it could be a trillion, $1.42 trillion company over the next decade. But it won't be because of social media necessarily. It'll be because of their transition to e-commerce and their monetization of WhatsApp and Messenger, right?
Yeah.
And I know you have a lot of thoughts on Zuckerberg as a businessman.
Listen, it's not only me. I think that everybody's kind of like on a similar page and kind of think that probably not the nicest dude. Bitcoin billionaires, man. When you say you're gonna fuck some dude in the ear, I mean, you're not saying that out of this kindness of your heart. You're not a gentle soul. You're trying to get somebody for whatever reason.
Hey, you can donate all the money you have. You can still be a bad person or a terrible human being by doing that too.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. And the weirdest thing to me was when he was like going to there was some point where he was popular and he was trying to visit like farmers in Idaho. You remember that?
No, I don't actually.
People were saying like he might run for president, and he might, man. He might have that somewhere in the back of his head that like, you know what, I'm gonna take this all the way to the White House. And have you seen those two document Hacked? Right, isn't that one?
I haven't watched Hack. No.
No, did you see the other one? This
Social Dilemma.
Yes, the Social Dilemma.
Yeah, we actually watched that in one of our classes during like 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
Really, really good, well done. It really kind of blows your mind about how victimized we are, right?
Yes, man. And that's like something I think about all the time. Like, you know, that experiment, well, there's many experiments, but basically positive reinforcement, you know, Skinner, you know, you give a rat certain food and you get that dopamine going and he kind of repeats the designated behavior. And I'm like, what if like we are getting programmed by our phones? What if you have this big tech company, right? Obviously they probably don't have the computing power right now to like manage all the users and really see what everybody's doing. I think they're overwhelmed. But like, how long until AI can literally just check all these patterns people are doing and see what they react to and see like, oh, if people similar to you react to this, then you'll probably react to this too, and make these decisions on the fly without people. You know, when it starts doing that, I mean, that's when it gets scary.
I think we're very close to there, right? Because deep learning, and that's something we're going to talk about a little bit more in a future episode when we break down the ARC Invest Big Ideas. Deep learning is essentially that, where you're creating code with the ability to create its own code, essentially, right? Through AI and machine learning. And we're almost at that point where who knows what happens? What is capable could be a really crazy time.
Yeah, I mean, just think about when you hit Control F, right? And it just finds all those words right away because it can just read all those words right away. Just can't understand them really, right? Until it can, and then that's when things get scary.
You know, real quick sidebar. There's a great Substack. It's like Patent Drop, and this guy will post like the newest patents he came across from like companies. And it's really cool because like you can see what like technology might come our way in a couple of years. And Google filed a patent that I thought was really interesting, right? So automation in manufacturing is really important. But the way it works is they take a robot essentially and they program it to do one task or multiple tasks, right? But the robot can only complete that task. They can't do anything else.
Okay.
If you wanted him to complete a new task, you have to kind of create a new one, right? And program a new one. What Google's going to do with this patent is you as like a developer or an employee even, you're going to put on a VR headset. You're going to become the robot.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay.
And you're going to mimic the new task. And you're going to do that over a period of time. And through machine learning, the robot will learn what to do and now add that to their knowledge base. That's amazing.
That is, man, that's... The thing is, man, with this technology, like things get weird.
Yeah, it's gonna get nefarious.
Really weird because the machines don't really know what they're looking at. They just, you know, trained to do things a certain way, and if you don't account for, you know, externalities, if you don't account for things we take for granted, just being people, right? It's gonna mess it up. Like I love this example. I don't know if I heard it from Elon Musk or somebody, but they were talking about AI, and they're like, all right. What if you have an AI, you know, it's very powerful, and you say, all right, look, we want to get rid of all the pollution. So the AI, you know, you hit return, AI, some dots pop up on the screen, and then before you know it, you get your brains blown out because the AI figured out, hey, look, I'm going to get rid of all the pollution. Who caused the pollution? Well, it's people. So if I get rid of the people, I'm going to get rid of the pollution. Done. That's what you got to worry about, you know?
Dude, we're going to be entering a special time. And with special times, I think we need now more than ever people who are innovative and very intelligent, but seem like they have the right idea for humanity, right?
Yes.
And I know that there's two people in particular that you really respect, right? The Winklevoss Twins.
Yeah, definitely, man. They're very interesting people. I feel like they're just so underrated because they've become a meme. But it's right. Like you got literally these two dudes who are at the advent of two revolutions. You know, social media, because they basically came up with Facebook, and then Bitcoin. They bought it at $8.
It's amazing.
You get into these dudes a little bit more, and you're like, oh wait, you guys are Latin scholars, and you were in the Olympics. Then you're just like, what? Oh, okay, you're super people. Now it makes sense. Now I get it. You're not like regular people. So when it comes to things like that, I tend to watch what people like that do. You know, it doesn't seem like they're out there trying to make a quick buck, or they're out there trying to, like get a hustle on or something like that. They seem to like have some sort of big game plan that they're working with, and they seem to really understand not only networks, but now crypto networks, right? They literally saw a network and how important it was before anybody else did. When they sued Zuckerberg, right? They went to court. They won obviously, and their lawyers told them to get paid out in cash for like $60 million or something like that. They said absolutely not. We want to get paid in equity because well, also they came up with the idea for that company. That dude screwed them, and so I think they paid out the lawyers in cash. They took equity, and they also realized that this is a social network. This is a hugely powerful concept, and it's uniquely positioned at this time in our species history. And it changes things. It changes everything. Think of how many families were like broken up over things that happened on social media, man. Think of how many friendships, how many fights, all of this because of social media. It's so powerful. So yeah, so when I see those two dudes, I'm like, these guys obviously know what they're doing.
Now, is there any particular project of theirs that you're very bullish on? I know you love Bitcoin. I know we talked about Facebook already. Is there something else that we haven't really gone in depth with?
Well, yeah, we got AMP. And we spoke about it, I think, in the first episode. It's basically a blue chip DeFi token. Right? It can easily run to like 10 cents. I don't see why not. And I see that within the short term.
So now, I mean, here's the thing, right? Because I have a small position. It's more like a moonshot bag, right? Like I only put like a couple of bucks, like literally less than I would use, on anything else, right? What target do you think makes the most sense for someone with my kind of size?
So, I mean, that depends on you, though. It's your moonshot, right? So, you can hold out for $1.
Like, realistically speaking, though, to get to $1, I mean, we're looking at a monster market cap, right?
We're looking at like a $30 billion market cap.
Okay, 30 billion is not bad, actually.
It's not.
No, that's not bad. If it was like 300 billion, then I'd be like, no, there's no freaking way.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely not. No, it's not like that. I mean, the total coins are 100 billion, but only 30-something billion is out there circulating. And that, like, 80-90% of that is staked.
Now, are you sure that that's the correct amount circulating?
Well, that's what it says on their website.
Right.
Yeah. That's, so earlier today, it was really funny, this guy posted in a Medium saying that the founders of Flexa are actually kind of finagling everybody, and they posted these fake metrics on CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko, and that they're really deceiving everybody because the AMP circulating is actually larger than what it says on CoinGecko. So once Gemini figures it out, this is according to his Medium article.
Right.
The price is going to drop 70% because the exchanges have no idea. They're just going, literally, Tyler Winklevoss logs on to CoinGecko, and he checks it, and then he logs into Gemini, and he sets the price. That's how it works.
Now, I mean, listen, there are definitely a lot of people who do that on the retail side. I'm a firm believer that retail never moves the market, right?
Mm.
You mean to tell me the fact that AMP is up basically from like 0.005 in the past couple of months to 0.1013 essentially, right?
Yes.
You mean to tell me that nice organic rise, that's all from people who know nothing about the total supply?
Yeah. No, that's the funny thing, because apparently, so there's more to the story. He was banned from the Discord, banned from the Reddit, because he just kept literally fudding and just asking silly questions.
I have a small position. I took a Lotto moonshot bag because you kept really talking about it. if you
Yes.
have a good position in it and it does well for you, and I'm sitting here listening and I never get anything out of it, I'm gonna feel stupid. So I bought a little bit. I bought what I could afford to lose.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to go more?
That's the best move. I've done a lot of DD for a while. I first found out about it I don't know, maybe like a year ago or something like that. And the second I was able to get it on Gemini, I did. And I really studied the chart. Before it was AMP, it was FXC, Flexa, right?
Okay.
Which is the name of the company. But they changed to AMP because people were getting confused the name of the company and the coin, and also they upgraded the token. So it was a basic ERC token. What it does essentially is it's a collateral token. So that's the simple premise of it. Collateral meaning you'd post it to sort of let other value transfers happen, and just in case something would happen to that value transfer, then the collateral gets liquidated. If you want to go to the store and buy an item, right? Everybody likes to talk about coffee, so we'll just talk about coffee. You go to let's say Dunkin' Donuts and you want to buy coffee with Bitcoin, right? Which you can, but for these purposes, we're gonna pretend that they have a Bitcoin wallet, you have a Bitcoin wallet, and you're just sending over your Bitcoin. Now, if you don't know this, people listening, Bitcoin transaction takes about 10 minutes to clear. Bitcoin only has like 4 to 5 transactions per second. Visa has 2,000 in turn, right? But it's not because Bitcoin is fast, which makes it valuable. It's that Bitcoin is secure. That's why it's valuable. So the 10 minutes, in hindsight, it's really not a big deal because the money's being secured. You could send $1 billion to somebody in another country in 10 minutes, and that's in and of itself valuable. Paying for the coffee, if you're in Venezuela and you have to show up with a wheelbarrow full of money, you probably would take that 10 minutes any day, right? That's probably not even an inconvenience for you. But for us, we can't wait 10 minutes, right? Let's say I'm a nefarious person. Let's say I'm a bad actor, right? And Frank is my partner. So, Frank, I go to Dunkin' Donuts. I order, 100 donuts because I'm a piece of shit, right?
You're American. You're
No, I'm robbing people, So I eat donuts and I rob people. That's the person I am. So I go to Dunkin' Donuts. I order my 100 donuts. I take my Bitcoin wallet. It gets sent to them. And let's say I walk away with my donuts right at that moment, right? I sent them the Bitcoin. Should be fine, right?
Right.
Well, the thing is, if I'm a bad actor, right, I could have shot you a text message the second I went to go and grab those donuts. And I said, hey, Frank, guess what? I just got the donuts. Spend the Bitcoin, right? Because that Bitcoin did not transfer to Dunkin' Donuts yet. Now, if Frank, at the same time, decides to go online to bitcoinsocks.com and places a $100 order of Bitcoin socks, right? Even though I only had $100 of value in that wallet, it essentially got spent twice because it didn't confirm. I took the donuts and left, and then he sent the second transaction with a higher transaction fee, so the miners prioritized that. Now the Dunkin' Donuts attendant is going to look at the wallet after a few minutes and realize the transaction failed, while the Bitcoin socks people are going to be happy that they got some Bitcoin, and we essentially got donuts and socks, spent money twice. Only one person got it.
It's very interesting, actually.
Yeah, that's a little scam you could run.
Right. So how does Flexa now or AMP help this not happen?
Okay, so that's where collateral comes in.
Okay.
And so the goal of AMP is any wallet could spend any cryptocurrency and basically for almost for nothing, right? There is a small fee. That fee goes to reimburse the people providing collateral.
Okay.
And eventually they're going to release an API that you're going to be able to, let's say you have Satoshi Alien Wallet, right? Then we could enable Flexa spending on the Satoshi Alien Wallet, and all people would have to do is add a couple lines of code to their wallet. So that's really impressive. Well, how could they just allow anybody to do it? Because you have this loophole, you could potentially have bad actors. And that's where the collateral comes in. So the collateral underwrites all the transactions on that wallet. So if there is a bad actor, or if somebody is doing something wrong, then that amount of AMP will get liquidated, so the merchant always gets paid.
So
Sorry.
no. So what happens then to the guy providing collateral? Does he obviously he would lose all the money, right? Like he gets screwed?
Well, it's the losses are, it wouldn't just be if it's one person providing collateral, then yeah, I mean, it's all going to be on him. But these are pools of collateral. So
okay.
Fine, yeah, you're not going to take a big hit, and this is probably not going to happen. Right now, the wallets are not decentralized.
Right.
Gemini and Speedin, right? They're both being basically run and underwritten by Gemini.
Really important.
Yeah, there's no fraud on the network right now. And there's no way to do fraud on the network. Eventually, when you open it up, then potentially you could have fraud on the network, and that's where the collateral really is needed. Right now, they're just kind of sort of testing it out, and once the API is released, then you're going to start to see the interest rates for staking AMP go through the roof. Right now, it's like 5% and change, but I wouldn't be surprised to see like 15, 20%, because if you have a lot of users on your wallet and people want to spend cryptocurrency, you're going to need that collateral to back up that spending. So you're going to have to market by AMP. You're going to have to put that on your wallet. Because if you want to have users and your users want to spend crypto, that's a very easy way for you to implement spending. Now, think about it like this, too. If you're a wallet or you're a coin or something like that, it takes a lot to go and have these relationships with these merchants. Right? Flex already did that. They have these relationships already. They're with NCR. You've seen NCR, which is the National Cash Register Corporation. They're like the biggest point of sales providers for the United States and the world. They partnered with them. So they're literally their processing ability to accept cryptocurrency is going to be native on these systems. Nobody realizes that. You're going to literally be able to, and you can, where it's implemented, you can go with cash, go to the cashier, say, look, I want $100 in Litecoin. They can ring you up right at the register, and you just show them your phone. They could put the $100 in Litecoin just by using Flex's system.
Now, is this independent of the Lightning Network? How does that work in regards to Lightning? Are they like competitors? How does that work?
I wouldn't say they're competitors. They're both different ways, right? Okay. But just because you have Ethereum, it doesn't make Bitcoin less valuable, right? Just because you have something that's valuable doesn't automatically make other things that are also valuable less. I think that it's an ecosystem. Lightning's not where we want it to be right now. It's going to be a while before it gets there, right? Slowly but surely it will get there. And Flex is just another way to pay for things. But Flex, it doesn't only have to be for Bitcoin. Flex, it could be for any asset. Lightning Network is just for Bitcoin.
Okay.
All right, let's tokenize a house. Right? Then you go and pay for your coffee with part of a house. It's pretty cool.
It's an interesting idea.
Yeah, so, but even like fractional stocks, right? So having one share of Apple, and then you load it up to a Speedin wallet or something like that, and every time you go buy coffee or you buy your groceries, it's taking off that fraction off the Apple and paying for whatever you need to pay for it. So, yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Professionals.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see AMP get like abducted and go out of this world. That would be amazing.
And then you also got to think about it too. Like, you could really think of AMP as like a de facto Gemini play in a way, right? Because what other projects are directly tied to the twins?
That's a good point.
Bitcoin, right? You think the twins, you think Bitcoin. Yeah, they like Ethereum too, but like they did not put themselves out there for really any other project that I can remember.
No.
Whole New York Times article. They went in. They're using Speedin, paying for stuff in Bitcoin. I mean, that was a lot of press.
Yeah, I mean that sounds really important, right? Like you have a huge backer that's very well respected and very ahead of their time too. AMP obviously is very quiet on the street right now, and it's probably just very early. So,
well, I mean, here's the thing too. Like, there's another use case would be if you're a merchant, right? You're paying 2 to 3% swipe fees to Visa and MasterCard, right? So if I come up with a solution where you're not paying that 2 to 3%, and I can even say, look, the fees that you are paying, if let's say your mobile app, like for example, let's go with Chipotle, right? You like Chipotle? You can pay for stuff with the mobile app, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, start good enough for sure.
So you load dollars onto the mobile app and then you pay. So if you use something like Flexa for that, that fee that you'd be paying out, right? If only they were providing the collateral for that wallet, they'd be getting that fee back to themselves. So anytime somebody spent anything using the Chipotle app, they would get back that 0.1% fee.
So you cut out Visa, MasterCard, and the
Exactly.
processors. This is very interesting. Can you do fiat to fiat transactions?
Yeah, you could pretty much do it all.
So I think you brought up a really good use case here. How these companies, Starbucks, Chipotle, etc., have an arbitrage opportunity. This is very interesting.
Oh yeah, and that's what the Twins were really talking about when they first brought it up. They were like, "Look, the people in the books know that it's cheaper to get these transactions than getting a Visa or MasterCard transaction because you're not getting the swipe fee."
And no one would ever know once it's enabled that you're even using crypto. Or
nobody knows at all. I just took my son to Dunkin' Donuts yesterday. I sent you the video.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, we went in, dude. It was awesome. We went in, and he's like, "Daddy, why are you giving the man your phone?" And I'm like, "Oh, I have to pay with Bitcoin." He's like, "Oh, Bitcoin, it's money." I'm like, "Yeah, it's money."
That's amazing, dude. That's
yeah.
amazing.
And he got it. He understood, like, oh, Daddy gave his phone to the man scanned the phone, he took Daddy's Bitcoin, and then Daddy got, some treats for us.
So is there going to be a point, is this part of their plans? Right now they have to scan like a QR code. Is it going to be like how I have Apple Pay and I just click my watch or my phone on the credit card reader? Or will it always be scan the code?
As of now, I don't know if they're going contactless like that. Scanning the code's pretty easy, though. I've never really issued scanning the code. I just show them the phone, and they have the gun, and it's actually quicker than a credit card or debit card.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then the receipt, I mean, have you used it too, right?
I've actually never used it because I refuse to spend crypto.
Awesome. Well, yeah, the receipt comes out faster than when you use your debit or credit card. And
awesome.
Faster than cash. So I think that with the pandemic, right, obviously they had to do a soft launch. You're not going to have a huge marketing you're not going to do that in the middle of a pandemic. Hey guys, go to the store and pay with speed-ins, pay with cryptocurrency. Meanwhile, everybody has a mask. They're all upset. Nobody's leaving their house. You can't do that. It's not right.
So you're thinking...
Obviously, they took a hit, right? Obviously, and that hit is, if you're a smart investor, that's your benefit. Because this thing can run for a while. I mean, if these wallets go live, they're offering high interest rates, 10%, 5%, 6%, 20%. I mean, that's pretty good. Why wouldn't you want to stake those wallets?
Dude, this is an interesting idea, and I really like it. That's nuts, dude. This is a great discussion. I'm actually excited about the future of AMP, and I know you're kind of excited about Pinterest. I think we got a good little dynamic going today.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
The Satoshi alien will help you understand technology and cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and believe you like it. The Satoshi alien will help you understand investments and make money, so come listen to the aliens guidance. Listen to the